maybe our private driver, inshallah, Vanagas or Batyushka is not private because he's in the team. Maybe they will win this year. So, it's like a religion. Oh, Dakar in our country is like a religion. Maybe you have heard any Lithuanian riders or pilots in Dakar? Maybe you know them?
I cannot say I know them very well, but of course I heard especially about Rokas Baciuska and Vanagas. I forgot the name, sorry, but which are the most famous. I saw you have some riders as well. But I cannot say I know them. I just know that you have some riders there.
Mm-hmm. People in our country, every year they have a belief that someone will win from our country, from Lithuanians.
It will happen.
Let's hope eventually.
Yeah.
Could we divide the question into parts regarding motorcyclists and going on four wheels?
Yeah.
What do you need to win Dakar except to be fast?
As you just said, except to be fast, because it's the very last thing you need to have. I mean, because fast riders and drivers, there are plenty of. But you have to be really consistent on your performance. It doesn't matter if it's on 2 or 4 wheels. Being able to find your own limits and to stay always below. Because your days are super long. Days are 8, 10, 12 hours. Staying focused, staying hydrated, staying efficient. So it's not affordable for anyone to ride 100% of the ability. You cannot resist for such a long time, and even if you consider that you have to repeat for 15 days in a row. So you have to find your own pace where you are feeling comfortable. Of course, being efficient, because still winning Dakar is, you need to be fast. But this is, if you look to the history, it's not the fastest drivers and riders which are winning, it's more consistent. Especially as bikers, look like Peterhansel won 6 times, but he won just few specials, a bit more than a few, but it's really the consistency which makes the difference, not the speed.
What's the biggest advantage of your car, of your pilot and co-pilot of your crew?
The car is built with a very low center of gravity, which makes it very stable. It's a very compact car. So once again, we can approach really rough sections in confidence. And the people behind the car are experienced people. So we have a fully trust on the team and the abilities, on the technical abilities. Which give us the possibility and the confidence to drive 100% every day. So there is no question behind this, and it's really important for us because we can really push ourselves to the maximum, knowing that the car will resist, will last. Of course, Nasser is probably the most successful driver in the past 10 years. He has won everything, absolutely everything. 5 Dakars already, now 3 World Championship titles. So I was lucky enough to join him 1 year ago mostly, and for sure together we are making an efficient crew. That means we know both of us where are our limits, what we need to deliver to win races, and I think we are both of us really professional on what we are doing. So once we step in the car, fully focused on the job, just dedicated to the performance. And I'm not saying we are the only one, but we know how to deal with the pressure, because that's part of the game as well. Once you are joining with Nasser, you know that there is only one goal. Second place is not an option. There is just the victory which is counting. So that means sometimes you have to deal with the pressure as well. But at least it's part of the game, and I think we are able to do so.
Would you personally have capabilities like a co-pilot, advantages to compare with your competitors? I mean, better preparation, physical preparation, you are mechanic, you were previously motorcyclist.
Yeah, you know, my point of view, it's difficult to judge where I'm between the others, but for sure my way of living is to I'm not an expert of anything. I'm not the best rider, I'm not the best mechanic, I'm not the best engineer, I'm not the best, in my opinion, I'm not the best navigator. But I'm not bad in what I'm doing. So that means as soon as I'm starting something, I'm studying what I can, I'm learning the much as I can to be at the best of my abilities. So my abilities are perhaps lower in certain cases of the others, but at least I'm able to perform to my best. And I'm able to manage a stressful situation, which in our sport, I think it's an advantage. So I think my main advantage is to be able to deal with the stress and to be able to manage different tasks together.
Could you please compare these two legendary pilots, Nasser and Stéphane?
They're really different outside of the car because they are coming from different cultures, different backgrounds. So it's just different people outside of the car. But once they are helmet on in the cockpit, they are really similar. Dedicated to performance, really able to find their own pace without taking care about the others, really calm in the cockpit. So they are fantastic champions, and it's they're really similar in a while in the cockpit.
If you compare pilot and co-pilot, who has more chances to make a mistake during rally, which costs the result?
Difficult to say because, of course, drivers have to avoid plenty of tricky situations and driving the fastest as they can and trusting the indication they receive from the co-driver. And on the other side, of course, the co-drivers can only do mistakes because if they are delivering perfect job, it's just normal, it's just what the driver is waiting for. As soon as there is only one mistake, it's a drama. Because you are losing time, you are making rounds, and it's part of the job. If a driver is losing 5 minutes, if a co-driver is losing 5 minutes, it starts to be a problem. So but we know it's part of the game. I mean, some friends of mine are saying, and I can say I agree. Co-drivers can only lose races; they cannot win it.
Mm-hmm. And my last maybe question. Yeah. Many people think that it's very easy to switch from motorcycle to four wheels, especially to be a co-pilot, because you do just a half of job. Is it true or not?
It's true that I wouldn't say it's difficult because in four wheels everything it's easier. I wouldn't say easy because there are also different things to deal with, especially being seated in a car in a cockpit where there is no air or no fresh air, and you have a passive position, while on the bike you are really active. It's different to think and to perform being seated and absorbing impacts, and also the movement of the car can make you sick. So it's different thing, but for sure it's easier in the car than on the motorbikes, because on the motorbikes you have to deal with your fatigue. If you are getting exhausted, you can fall and then broke some bones, or even worst case, hit the head and so on. So sure, and on four wheels you are safer. Doesn't mean the life is easy.
I will get back to the Žilvinas question about where you mentioned that, when a co-driver is performing well, you are winning races. When you're not performing, you're losing races. So we know there was one stage in last Dakar where Nasser was saying, go ask you, Eduard, what happened. Yeah. But does it mentally really makes you have to be prepared as well, because you have to absorb all the pressure from the driver, and you still know that you will have to sit in the same car for the next few stages. Yeah,
totally right. I mean, and what you are mentioning, in my opinion, it's the only mistake I did during last Dakar. It was a real mistake. Actually, there was two similar drawing, and by the hit I got getting on the dunes, I pushed the button of the remote, which was jumping one line. And as the drawing was the same, I didn't recognize that I jumped one line. And then when I realized that, it was too late, and we did 7 kilometers excessive. So it was a real mistake on my side. But as you were saying, still you need to, the next seconds, to refocus on, first of all, what I did wrong, how to get back on the right track. Everything is on your own, because the drivers are only the wheels. He's not deciding where to go. So once you realize that you make a mistake, the next thing is being the quickest to the right, to getting to the track again. And just to finish, yes, and then as you are saying, you are still sitting in the same cockpit for the rest of the day and the next days. So you have to reset the quickest you can, reset yourself and reset the atmosphere in the cockpit, because of course then the tension is rising, because you can lose minutes and perhaps a race. So it's not super nice, but you have to deal with.
You mentioned the same kind of drawings, and we know that David Castera is doing his job really well every year, making Dakar Rally tougher and tougher. So from co-driver's perspective, how's the Dakar Rally evolved since you started, both in terms of navigation and challenge?
That's a wide question, because for me, David is obviously the biggest way of improvements in the recent 20 years, I would say, in the Dakar Rally, because for a long time Dakar was doing the same thing year after year, and David brought innovation. He brought the 450s in the bikes, he brought the digital tablet in the car, he brought many different things. And as a co-driver, I can tell you that the digital tablet was a revolution, because first of all, by having the digital tablets give the possibility to the organizers to not print the road book, which means you're receiving the information only on the morning while loading the points. And what the difference is, as the co-drivers, you have the right to sleep, because with the paper road book, you are spending nights to prepare the next day.
Marking with the marker.
With the digital road book, you cannot do that. So finally, you have time to rest as well, because it was absolutely an exhaustive process for 3 weeks without sleep. And so for us, it's much safer, much nicer, because you are living the adventure, having the same kind of condition than the drivers. It brings new specificity, because having no time for preparation means you need to connect your brain on the morning, because you are seated in the car, belted, with the helmets on, you still don't know where to go. You have still an empty tablet in front of you. So once the tablet is on, then it's not time to think anymore, it's time to act only. So you have to be really quick on your readings, on your thinking, on your translations to the driver, because there is too many information in front of you and you cannot give to the drivers everything you have. It's too much. You have no time to read and tell all the things. So you need to select the one which are for the driver and the one which are for you as a co-driver to confirm what you are doing. So, and it's even more difficult if you are not in your native language, because even if we are all able to speak English, our abilities are a bit different. So sometimes we are just slower than in our native language. So some indication are just for us, you know. So it's another job, I would say.
So as Dakar is evolving, also navigation seems to become more and more crucial every year. It's getting harder each year. This year there were stages where you had to open and had no lines. What do you think about Castera's such race concept where bikes and the cars are separated and each crew has to rely on their co-pilot?
Yeah, honestly, I like it. First of all, you just said it's giving even more weight and trust to the co-drivers, because they have to do everything on their own, and the driver has no other choice than to listen to the co-driver. Otherwise, there is no road tracks to follow. So I like it. And the other thing is, it's obviously safer separating bikes and quads and cars, because there is no risk to have collisions, because sometimes behind the crest of the dunes you can find a bike which has fallen, and it happens to all of us. Opening the roads, you never know what's behind the crest, and it can happen that there is a falling rider. Even if we have some alarms, we don't know exactly where the guy is. We know in a short radius, okay, it can be right or left or in the middle, we don't know exactly, and once you're crossing the dunes, then you see it. So it's putting the right direction in terms of safety, but of course the counterpart is it's a huge amount of work for the organization, because it's let's say making double or triple job for the guys designing the routes. And for example, this year Dakar was 12 stage, but as a different categories was 42, 43 roadbooks to do, and few people only are able to do roadbooks. That means it's an addition of jobs and an addition of potential errors. So having only one roadbook per day in my opinion, is nicer in terms of accuracy and being sure that the indication you got are perfect. Multiplying the numbers of roadbook is multiplying the possibility of errors. And this year we were having an error of roadbook, a physical error on the roadbooks. And we are not used to do, because from the moment the tablets are existing, there were no more mistakes. Because they can check and recheck again, and there was no mistake. So once a mistake occurs, you are not used to do that. And so this is the limit of the game. You know, it's nice to have a safer and in a way nicer competition, but on the other side, it's giving more weight to the organization, and they probably don't have the staff to follow that thing. So probably the right in this right moment, it would be probably I would say a good compromise to go one step back, having some stages without bikes, but not as many as we have last year. Last year we were having 5 stages, and I think it was a bit too much considering the resources of the organization.
2026 is going to be 7th year in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Do you feel it's becoming too familiar?
No.
Or is it each year still unpredictable from a co-driver's seat?
Honestly, Saudi Arabia is a fantastic playground for us, because you have everything you can wish for cross country. You have mountains, you have dunes, you have flat desert, bumpy desert, you have anything you can wish for. It's a safe country. They have the ability to go almost everywhere they wish for. So from my point of view, if the 2nd, 7th or 15 years in Saudi Arabia, I'm happy, because it's a perfect terrain for us.
Looking from the fan and crowd atmosphere, you know, South America is number 1. Do you wish that sometime Dakar would return to South America or even Africa?
You're right, for the atmosphere, you're right, South America was fantastic for the atmosphere. But on the sporting side, it was totally unfair, because a lot of information were circulating before the race. And we know that some teams were having stages before the start of the rally and so on. So it was like a Tour de France, was fantastic pictures, fantastic atmosphere, but the race was not fair. And we are first of all, we are athletes, and we wish for a fair race. So I prefer to have a fair and safe race in Saudi Arabia than let's say a nice show where the results were a bit tricky.
Let's switch to the World Rally-Raid Championship, and you are leading by 23 points now after 2 stages. How important is W2RC for you as a co-driver? Does it help you to build rhythm before the Dakar, or is it more of a development stage of the car, or even something else?
It's clearly both of that, because Dakar is still the main event, but W2RC is becoming more and more important, and it starts to really be it's now an objective for the crews, for the teams, and it's new, because a few years ago, honestly, the goal was only Dakar and the rest was only preparation. Now the W2RC Championship is really competitive. All the top drivers are competing all year long. So 5 years ago, the other races were B races. Now it's clear objectives. So it's a training, it's a competition, it's a testing. But at the end, the title has now a real importance for us.
A lot of young talents are coming from the T3, T4 categories. Do you see a new generation of co-drivers rising as well? What does it take to become a world-class in your role?
I think there is much more possibility to come to co-driving than for driving, because driving, there is no choice, you have to drive the car. Coming to be a co-driver, I think there is different possibilities, or being a co-driver in national or regional and international races like WRC and so on. But as we were saying before, you can be a rider and then switch to co-driving. Or perhaps a third possibility is still open. So for me, the co-drivers have different profile, and of course, new generation is coming as well there. But which is really important for co-driver is to be, let's say, to have a wide, let's say, way of working, and to be open to different possibilities if they really want to jump in the right seat. It's not only being able to give the notes at the right moment, but it's also being, let's say, available in any moment for the driver, for the team, deal with stressful situations which are nothing related to the navigation itself. So for co-driving, I think there is a different solution, but in my personal opinion, a motorbike rider is still a really good, let's say, base, wishing to be a co-driver later.
We actually saw this Dakar, Sam Sunderland and Toby Price joining together in the Toyota Hilux. And,
exactly, and doing well.
And doing well until they had to withdraw, sadly. Actually, I will switch now to a much easier question to finalize our interview. You're wearing 2 watches. Why?
Because first of all, I like watches.
That's I can tell.
No, but I like to wear Garmin watches because it's monitoring all day long, all year long, my body system and my performance, because I like to go outdoor every day. So if I have to wear only one watch, it's the Garmin one, but which is forbidden in the car because a few years ago there was some cheating with smartwatches and so on, so they canceled the possibility to have some watches. But still, I prefer the design of a classic watch. I prefer to read the time with arrows than with a digital screen. So if someone is making a Garmin without screen, I'm fine. But it's you know, there is different possibility like Whoop or rings and whatever it is, but it's not accurate as Garmin is for a pure performance side. And this is why I still wearing 2 watches, one for performance, one for reading the time.
You were humble saying that you are not the best co-pilot in the world. So who is your idol? Who would you like to be and match in the future? Who is the best amongst the ones that are in the world rally race championship?
I cannot say I have idols, but I have inspiration for sure. You know, the former co-driver Stéphane Peterhansel, Jean-Paul Cotteret, who won 7 Dakar with him. As me, he was not a co-driver before, he was a mechanic before. Yeah. But he was smart enough to adapt for a new job and be super successful in what he was doing, and was super rigorous in his job. So with a basic as a mechanic, he was able to win all the races he had to face. And the second inspiration for me was another French one, not only French, but we have a long history in France with that. And Michel Perrin was the former co-drivers of L'Artigue and Saints as well, and who won Dakar, last Dakar with Nani Roma in 14 in Argentina. And Michel is also another one which is fantastically meticulous on his job, and having the abilities to work with them and to learn with them. I think they are still my models, because for me it's giving me the certitude that hard work pays off much more than talent. And as a co-driver, talent is nothing. You don't need to be talented for a co-driver. What does it mean, being talented for a co-driver? No wait for that. You need to be a hard worker if you want to be successful in your role. And these 2 guys giving me the certitude that if you are working hard, you can achieve what you wish for.
3rd World Rally Raid Championship in South Africa in May. What are your plans and preparations for that 3rd stage?
For preparation, it's quite limited with the car, because the car fly directly from Abu Dhabi to South Africa. For us as a driving co-driver, as a crew, we have limited time together as well, so we can only work on ourselves. But of course, the goal remains the same: winning the race, because we know that we can do that with Nasser and with the team. We have the ability to win the race, to keep the leadership of the championship, of course. The tricky point is we don't know this race because we never raced there before, and on the paper, the Toyotas are much better prepared than us because they know the terrain. They are testing there.
They're coming home.
They are coming home, exactly. They are testing there. So on the paper, we are not the favorite, but of course, we will do our best to win the race as well.
don't you feel a little bit pity that the car is traveling to South America and there is so little time to work on the car, on the mechanics, because you need to tweak the car differently than you had in Saudi Arabia? And,
but for sure, we have some days in front of the race to adjust the car for the terrain we will face. The team has time to make to change the car. It should be. For sure, it's still the first time we are facing this race. We will have no certitudes. We'll try to do our best and as I was saying before, to find the best compromise we think of. But the certitudes we will have after the race.
So we just have to tell you good luck, and
Thank
we'll
you.
be following the race.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.